Well, it's over. It is officially over. The Jets fall 35-8, finish the season 3-14, and a 5-game losing streak to end the year that was ugly, to say the least. With that, we welcome you to Jets Postgame Live, presented by Audi. Visit your Tri-State Audi dealer to get behind the wheel of yours today, alongside Bart Scott, Willie Colon, Connor Rogers. I'm Steve Gelbs. You, right before we went on, Bart, what'd you say? What was your question?
Lose?
You happy? You sad? That's what you. Right?
Yeah. Happy, sad.
I mean, if you're a Jets fan,
one thing I don't understand: why does everybody hate us so much? Like it's a disdain. They were trying to run it up. Like, come on, man. Like,
they had to meet some quotas.
It feels like the entire league. I don't know what New York did in the '70s, or maybe something. People hate the swag of Joe Namath or what? But like, yo, people actually hate us.
It's an incentives game.
Yeah,
a lot of guys build that incentives, and they're all their bonus checks.
They was like, we about to eat today.
Yeah, right.
But listen, in a big picture sense, and we're going to talk about this season specifically, the Jets now are locked into the number 2 overall pick.
Decent that line chance, Willie talking about.
If they want.
Couldn't even get through the first
Decent
block.
chance that they have an opportunity now to get what they hope will be the franchise quarterback. All going to probably depend on what happens with Dante Moore and if he does declare. But that's a discussion for another day, or at least later in this show. To start, we don't need to get into the specifics so much of tonight's game, especially because most of the people wearing the Jets jerseys are people that most couldn't pick out of a lineup and won't really be a part of the discussion next year. But overall, this season, when you look at it, what is your one takeaway, Bart, your main takeaway?
Just an utter disappointment. I'm not used to being part of an organization that's not respected, right? That's not even, like, it's one thing to be feared, it's another thing to not be respected. It's almost like we're the laughing stock of the NFL. And at some point, you got to take that personal as an organization. You got to say, listen, not on my watch. Like, they're going to start respecting us. They're going to start, understanding the type of game that they're going to get when they play the Jets.
Yeah.
The type, what's to be expected. Like, we talk about, remember Rex used to have play like a Jet? Mm-hmm. I don't know what play like a Jet means anymore. Right? All gas, no brakes. I saw nothing but brake lights. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and we didn't even have a mantra this year to go off of. We didn't even have an identity. We didn't even pretend to have one. What was it? We didn't even have a slogan. We didn't have anything to build behind.
Hold on. That's what the slogan.
Yeah, the hold the rope.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, until they get an identity, I don't know how they can hold each other accountable until they set a standard and they say, this is who we are and this is the level in which everybody's being judged and held to. But for me, as a Jet, and Willie can go around and he can say, yeah, I was a Jet, but I was a Steeler too. Sure. I can say I'm a Jet, but I was a Raven too. Right? And, one of those, teams or two of those teams still carry weight. Mm-hmm. And to be 15 years in, without being able to be looked at as a laughing stock, the butt of Peyton Manning's jokes. Like, when somebody want to crack a joke or the low-hanging fruit, it's always the Jets' name today. And you would think, like, man, damn, maybe it'd be Cleveland. Maybe it's Arizona. No, people take pride and joy in making the Jets the punchline. And if I'm every one of those players that's walking through that tunnel right there, and I know I'm going to be back, I'm saying I'm not going to be a joke. I'm going to go take my respect.
Yeah, I think the theme for me at the end of the season is just below average. Everything we did this season, everything the Jets did was just below average. And the issue, what Bart is saying too, like a lot of these guys independently, they have to figure out, it's a privilege to play in the National Football League. That's one. Two, when you do put on the helmet and you represent a brand like the New York Jets, you have to have some pride in wearing the colors. That has to mean something to you. And on top of that, some of this stuff is bigger than these guys, right? And that's the hardest part to swallow because, I've been a part of bad seasons as a Jet, and then, when you finish the season and you kind of digest everything you went through and you kind of assess how you played and where the organization is going, you realize there's some deficiencies that are just out of your pay grade. And so you have to stomach some of that. And on top of that, you got to believe in the head man. Do you believe in what coming out of Aaron Glenn's mouth? Do you believe in his process, how he operates his team? Do you believe that everything that's moving forward right now for the New York Jets is going to end in a positive note, or at least some direction where we can say that's a respectable decision or what we're putting together? All those questions have to still be answered. And I just feel bad for some of these guys because you start every season feeling like you have time. You really don't, man. Right. That's the hard. You just don't. So, one, some things are beginning to do, and two, you got to make every day in your cleats worth something. And when you have this type of production, you start questioning your football mortality, right? Because you watch teams who have. Now, I was around when Detroit was bad, right? I was around when Cleveland was bad. I was around with certain teams when the Rams were really bad, right? I mean, all those teams, to Bart said, they hold a different type of weight. And so, if you're a guy who's been a part of this team, like a Breece Hall, Quincy, Garrett Wilson,
Yeah.
You start looking around, dog. I'm year 7, year 8. Yeah. And I ain't got nothing to hold my head on. And I come from winning programs. Yeah. I come for where things matter. It gets dog fast, man. So I have empathy for these guys.
It'd be really telling when you speak about those aforementioned players, Simpson, Vera Tucker, Breece, guys that can find a way to get up out of here. It'd be telling about
how they respond.
Yeah,
right.
what Glenn's message was and how much they believe it if they want to be part of staying here and building. Remember when Saleh was here, they was like, I want to be part of the turnaround. They believe whatever you want to say about Robert Saleh.
And you believe that because they were saying that at the end of games. They kept that message.
Right.
Yes.
They believed it, right? I don't know how many of those guys that's going to have an opportunity. It's one thing to say you believe and you stuck under contract. It's another thing you say you believe and you're telling your agent, find a way to get me out of here, get me traded. Yep. That's going to say a lot about this program and how this locker room was. See, we don't know what it was like inside this locker room, but that's stuff like that are small indicators of if that was a toxic place or if it was all love and sunshine and roses like he portrayed it to be, and we're still trying to turn the big ship.